Hi everybody, in this tutorial we're going to be taking a look at how to embed an image and also use the dodge and burn tool. Now I have the background here. If you ever see a lock on something, that means you can't edit it, but if you click on it, it becomes a layer. I'm going to I'm going to call my Mars background Mars landscape so I can easily identify it on this layer. I already cut out an object that I want to put into this scene. I have it saved, so I'm just going to select it now and drag and drop it in. Okay, there's my image. Some special K with berries, red berries. So now I'm just going to position it the way I want. So this is a typical thing you've done in the past. I can make it larger, smaller, tilt it, angle it using the move tool. So I'm going to take care of that, kind of just get it situated where I want, because it's going to be important based on how my lighting is going to be in the scene. So just take my time doing that. There we go, that looks pretty good. I'm going to zoom in. And now I'm going to attempt to make it look like this bowl actually is in the Mars landscape, actually like dug in, not just floating on top. So I'm going to create a layer mask here. Just like before, I'm going to select my brush tool with a layer mask. Make sure I'm on black because I'm going to start to erase the bottom of the bowl. So I'm just going to make my brush size a little bit bigger. Check my opacity level. That looks okay. My brush size. I'm going to start clicking to start to erase the bottom of the bowl so we start to see the landscape of Mars kind of come in front of it. This is going to help the bowl look like it's actually really sitting in there. Now this is nice. It looks kind of dusty on it. I actually want to kind of create a crisper like edge, like the sand of Mars is actually in front. So I'm going to change my brush around a little bit. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to increase the hardness of it like to about 75%. Let's just see how that looks. That's okay, but I think my opacity needs to go up as well. So if the hardness goes up in the opacity, I'm going to get like a strong, almost outline-like cut into it. That looks pretty good. It actually looks like now it's kind of dug into the landscape. And after that, I'm actually going to create some soft shading. So I'm going to bring my hardness all the way down and bring my opacity pretty low, maybe 15%, and just start kind of dabbing a little bit and clicking to create a soft texture of the sand, kind of softening up against it, like it was kind of dusty against it. Just that until it feels right. It's looking pretty good. Trying to make it as believable as possible. Let me kind of back up and see how that looks. Yeah, I like that. Looks good. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to work on shading and highlighting areas so it looks like the light is actually hitting this in the landscape. So we're going to make a copy. If we drag our layer to an area right next to the little trash can there, we make a layer copy. So literally I'm clicking on and off to show you that we actually have two versions of the same layer. I'm going to deselect one and I'm going to name one Dodge and Burn, just so we can identify for this tutorial that that's the one I'm using. And sometimes like when you do that, you get this little X on a circle. Just click and it's going to say to rasterize and click yes. Dodge and Burn is located right here as the tool. You can select Dodge or Burn. Burn means to darken a color or a intensity, and then Dodge means to lighten. You use it like a brush tool, so you can expand the size. I like to keep it at midtones for the range. Exposure, I'm going to bring it to around 50% for now, and we can lower it later. But this kind of gives me a medium range. So I'm going to show you how to highlight something. So this is only going to be on the serial. So if I click a couple times, you might start to notice that I'm lightening up a little bit. But this serial is pretty darn light. I don't really, and the scene is pretty exposed well, so I actually just need to shade more than light in this picture. So I changed it over to burn to darken, and I'm gonna set my exposure for my burn tool to 50, around 50%. And I'm gonna start clicking, and every click I do starts to add shadow. The reason I'm adding shadow here is because in the Mars landscape, the sun is way in the background coming at you. So that means shadow would be on this side of the bowl more. So I'm going to start clicking it till it starts to kind of get this nice little shadow coming around the bowl and on some of the cereal there too. You can see it darkening up as I go. So this is only going on the bowl because I'm on the cereal layer. I'm not on the Mars landscape. But now I'm going to switch to the Mars landscape. I'm going to again click and drag this and make a layer copy. The reason I'm making layer copies is so I can take a risk on the layer copy, and if I don't like it, I can always go back to my original. So there's no destruction here. So I'm going to call that dodge and burn as well. Make sure I'm on that layer. I'm going to bring my exposure down to about 17%. What that means is I'm going to subtly add shadow. So now I'm actually shading and darkening the dirt of Mars. And this is going to cause a drop shadow, or it's called so-called a cast shadow. This is going to help it look like the bowl, the cereal bowl, is projecting a shadow on the dirt. Let me just zoom in here. And now I'm going to double up the shadow right where the bowl meets the landscape to make it look like it's getting darker as the shadow gets darker as it gets closer to the bowl. How it would look like in reality. Sometimes it helps to take a look at pictures of things in normal lighting so you can see how shadow acts. I have a big background in like drawing, so a lot of this is from memory on how lighting hits objects. As you can see, I think I'm getting that effect. It looks like it's projecting a shadow on the space. I'm pretty happy about that. It feels like it belongs. I'm clicking off the layer to show you I shaded on the landscape there and on the bowl separately. So if you click the bowl off, you'd see this just dark like wound into the landscape. I'm actually going to treat a little bit of the astronaut here with just shading a little bit more than what the picture suggested, I can intensify the shadows and do what I need to do. I'm going to switch from burn to dodge, which means to lighten, and I'm going to zoom in and make my brush really small, and I'm just going to show you how to do a couple little highlights. And here you can see the brightness of his knee area and some parts of his arm lightening up. I don't think I need anything else right now. So for this tutorial, that's how we use dodge and burn. It really helps create a more sophisticated image.